Hello, and welcome to your orientation for able-bodied adults without dependents, or ABOD. During this orientation video, we'll give you some basic information about the program, review how you can participate in the program, and share some of the reasons why you may not be participating. We encourage you to take notes during this video so that you can contact our team with your questions. Make sure you write down this number, 833-947-1694. You'll need this number to reach an ABOD team member with the Oregon Department of Human Services, or ODHS. Let's go ahead and talk about what today looks like. During this orientation, you'll learn a lot about your SNAP benefits and how SNAP rules might affect those benefits. We'll discuss what it means to be an ABOD participant, how the ABOD rules affect each Oregon county, who is exempt from the ABOD rules, and how the Oregon Employment Department and the Department of Human Services will support you to help you keep your benefits. After this presentation, you'll talk one-on-one with an ABOD team member from ODHS. You just wrote down their phone number. They will answer any specific questions you have and will work with you to determine next steps. To begin, ABOD means you are an able-bodied adult without dependents. In the next slide, we'll take a closer look at what this means and how ODHS makes the ABOD determination. Able-bodied means you have the ability to work based on your situation and your health. ODHS will work with you to help determine if there are any behavioral, mental health, or physical health barriers that may impact your ability to work. They will ask you questions to help your ABOD team member understand if you are able-bodied, or if you meet an exemption. We'll talk about exemptions later on in this presentation. This one is easy. If an individual is between the ages of 18 and 64, they are considered an adult for the purposes of this program. So far, we've looked at 2 of the 3 criteria for being an ABOD. Now, let's look at the definition of without dependents. When most people think of their dependents, they think of their own children. However, children who share your SNAP case do not need to be related to you in any way. ODHS considers all the people in your home who purchase and prepare meals together as being one household, meaning you all share a SNAP case. If there are no children under the age of 14 who share your SNAP case, you meet the definition of without dependents. Here's an example of what that might look like. Perhaps you move in with a relative who has children younger than 14, and they have an open SNAP case. When you apply for SNAP, your worker will ask you if you share and prepare food with your relatives. If the answer is yes, you will be considered a household and need to combine your SNAP case. Because your relative has children under the age of 14, even though they are not your children, you do not meet the definition of an ABOD. There are a lot of different scenarios for what this can look like, but don't worry. ODHS will work with you to help determine if you meet the definitions of an ABOD. They will also answer any questions you may have. Only ODHS can make the ABOD determination. Now that we've learned what the definition of an ABOD is, let's look at the ABOD work activities that can help you reach your employment goals and meet the SNAP time limit requirements. If and when you are determined to meet the definition of an ABOD, you'll need to complete 80 hours of work activities each month. This averages to about 20 hours per week. You can do this through paid employment, unpaid work, such as bartering or volunteering, self-employment, based on income, not the hours, or participating in work-related activities with a case plan through the Oregon Employment Department. This is what is required of individuals with an ABOD status for the SNAP time limit. We've covered quite a bit so far. We want to make sure that you understand the definition of an ABOD, the work requirements, and the work activities to keep your SNAP benefits. Be sure to write down any questions you have so that you can ask your ODHS ABOD team member later on. Now, let's look at all the ways you might meet an exemption. Are you exempt from participating in the ABOD program? Not everyone who meets the definition of an ABOD is required to participate in the program. Let's review some of the reasons you may be exempt from participating. At the end of the presentation, you will be able to call an ABOD team member. At that time, please let them know if you fall into any one of these categories. If you do not live in a participating county, you may not need to participate in the program. After this video, you will be able to contact an ODHS ABOD team member to ask them about whether you are exempt. If you are outside the age requirements for the program, you are exempt. If a child under 14 years of age lives at your home and is part of your SNAP case, you may be exempt. If you are unsure who is part of your SNAP case or have a shared custody situation, talk to your ODHS ABOD team member. If you are unable to work because of a health-related concern, you may be exempt. This includes a behavioral, mental, or physical barrier that may impact your ability to obtain and maintain employment. If you are unsure what this means, please have a conversation with your ABOD team member. If you are pregnant, you are exempt from completing the work-related activity requirements. If you are attending school at least half-time, you may be exempt. Note that each educational institution decides the definition for half-time. If you are attending an alcohol or drug treatment program, you may be exempt. Note that this does not include attending Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous meetings. If you are a refugee and have a training program from a federal refugee resettlement program, such as the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization, or IRCO, you may be exempt. Questions about other qualifying agencies can be addressed to the ABOD team at the end of this presentation. Caring for a person who is unable to care for themselves does not mean that you have to live in the same home or even be related. However, if you are being paid to provide care to this person, you do not meet the exemption criteria. If you are participating in the TANF Jobs program with ODHS, you may be exempt. Certain work activities that you do may count for some or all of your work activity requirements. The ODHS ABOD team member will work with you to help make that determination. If you are working 30 hours a week or earning at least $935.25 before taxes, we do not expect you to complete any additional work-related activities. If you are self-employed and earning at least $935.25 without business costs, or earning at least $1,870.50 with business costs, we do not expect you to complete any additional work-related activities. We also don't expect you to complete any additional work-related activities if you have applied for or are receiving unemployment insurance benefits. If you volunteer or engage in community service, be sure to share that with your ABOD ODHS team member. The ODHS ABOD team member will work with you to learn how many hours you volunteer and will let you know if you need to do any additional work-related activities. You will also need to share with your ODHS ABOD team member if you do any work in exchange for something other than money. This is called bartering. For example, if you do yard work for someone in exchange for housing, that's considered bartering. The ODHS ABOD team member will work with you to determine how many hours you work to barter for something, and if you need to do any additional work-related activities. We've covered quite a bit so far. Be sure to write down any questions you have and ask the ODHS ABOD team. Now that you know more about the ABOD program, what's next? We've talked about exemptions and work requirements. Let's review the different ways you can meet these work requirements. The first way is by working 80 hours during a month, which averages to 20 hours a week. You can meet this requirement if you work for pay and if you do unpaid work. Paid work means you work for money. Unpaid work includes bartering and volunteering, such as at your local church, school, or food kitchen. Volunteering is something you initiate. This isn't set up by ODHS. Volunteering generally takes place at a public or private nonprofit. The second way to meet the work requirement is through self-employment. If you are self-employed, ODHS will look at how much countable income you have. Self-employment work hours are based on the income, not the actual hours worked. Note, only ODHS determines the monthly work requirements for an individual with an ABOD status. Hours may vary depending on individual circumstances. The third way to meet the work requirements is through a case plan with the Oregon Employment Department. Let's talk about that next. The Oregon Employment Department is the statewide provider for ABODs. This means that when you work with them, you receive more services than the general public. The Oregon Employment Department has dedicated employment specialists who will provide one-on-one services, including an assessment to establish how the employment specialist can best guide you. This person will help identify and create your personalized plan to reach your employment goals. The Oregon Employment Department may also provide support for items identified in your personalized plan. We'll talk more about those in just a minute. The Oregon Employment Department will make sure you understand how to report your activities, so all your monthly efforts count towards your 80 hours. You will meet with the employment specialist every month to report your progress and to receive coaching and other support. Our coaches are trained to help you meet all the ABOD program requirements you just heard about. They will connect you with training opportunities to improve your job skills. They will also refer you to occupations in your community that pay self-sustaining wages in jobs you want to do. Most importantly, they will answer all the questions you have about the ABOD program and make finding a job easy. The staff at the Oregon Employment Department will work with you to develop a plan, explain all the program requirements and how to meet them, stay in touch with you, make sure you stay on track each month, and they will do their best to answer all your questions. If they don't know something, they will reach out to ODHS for help. Are you ready to go to work? Some of the services you are eligible for from the Oregon Employment Department include learning how to interview for a job. You will have personalized assistance to develop the skills you need to get the job you want. A dedicated professional coach to help you get hired in your next job. Your coach will help you figure out what works best for you and provide you with the tools you need to be successful. And support from people who will work with you to develop your resume. As you make progress towards your employment goal, we can assist you with your clothes, transportation, identification, and other important support to help you return to work. These are just a few examples. Let's continue to explore what other opportunities you will have available to you. You will have access to tuition support for training. This training will help you learn skills for a job you've always wanted to do. Resources and a team of people who will support you as you earn your GED and English language acquisition classes that will support you with learning the English language. The Workfare program may allow you to participate in the ABOD program for a reduced number of hours rather than the full 80 hours per month. The ODHS ABOD team member will determine how many Workfare hours you need to complete each month. The reduced amount of hours is based on the Fair Labor Standards Act. So, what do Oregonians have to say about the ABOD program?
Anytime I went to the WorkSource Oregon office, I was treated with respect and dignity. With each visit to the office, I was given more and more support through a difficult time of unemployment. I am incredibly grateful for all the help and support I received during my time of stressful transition and uncertainty.
Thank you, ABOD program. This afternoon, I got the phone call I've been waiting for. I got the job. It would not have been possible without all the help I received from my local office. The caring and attentive staff helped me in so many ways.
Thanks to the resources provided by the ABOD program, as of today, I am currently employed. The ABOD program was very helpful to me and went above and beyond to provide assistance to obtain employment.
For now, think about your employment goal, and we'll talk later about how you might get there. Now is the time to gather questions you wrote and call to speak to an ODHS ABOD team member. The number is 833-947-1694. If you don't have a phone, please visit a WorkSource center. They will have phones available for you to use. Thank you. We look forward to speaking with you about the ABOD program.